we're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles from your EBC Studio Manila, and here in Manila, welcome to ASEAN in Focus.
And I am Crystal Ann Ballesteros from your EBC Cambodia Bureau to give you the latest updates in the ASEAN dynamic region.
On today's headlines,
ASEAN's relationship.
The Philippine government, as the country coordinator for the ASEAN-China dialogue, is pushing for the early conclusion of negotiations on the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea.
The U.S. Justice Department on Wednesday announced charges against 5 Chinese nationals and 2 Malaysians who ran global hacking operations for at least 6 years to steal identities and video game technology, plant ransomware, and spy on Hong Kong activists.
And Chinese tech giant Tencent said it was opening a new Singapore office to serve as a Southeast Asian hub as the firm reels from setbacks in the U.S. and India. First, the Philippine government, as the country coordinator for the ASEAN-China dialogue, is pushing for the early conclusion of negotiations on the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. During the 27th ASEAN Regional Forum held last September 12, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. said Manila will push as hard as it can for the conclusion of an effective and substantive Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. The Philippines hopes to make substantial headway on the second reading of the negotiating draft before turning over the co-chairmanship of the negotiations to Myanmar next year. I declare that as China coordinator, I will push through to the second draft and get started on the third before handing the China coordination or coordinatorship to my brother Myanmar. That is what I am honor-bound to do, Locsin said in a separate tweet on Tuesday. Now, Locsin, during the forum, also expressed gratitude for the expressions of support for the Philippines in the wake of the recent Holo bombings, as he called for continuous cooperation to combat terrorism. The ARF, or ASEAN Regional Forum, is an inclusive platform in the Asia-Pacific region for fostering constructive dialogue and cooperation among participants on political and security issues of common interest and concerns, such as combating terrorism and transnational crimes. It is currently comprised of 27 members, namely the 10 ASEAN member states, Australia, Canada, China, the European Council, India, Japan, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, Russia, the United States, Bangladesh, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Mongolia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Timor-Leste, and one ASEAN observer, Papua New Guinea. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, is comprised of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Malaysia records more coronavirus cases. Let's get the latest situation as we follow this developing story in Malaysia. Joining us live from Kuala Lumpur is Gail Altus. Gail?
Yes, hello Crystal. Here is the latest news. The cumulative number of positive COVID-19 cases in Malaysia rose to 5 digits yesterday, reaching 10,031 cases after 62 new cases were recorded, said Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah. The latest development also took the overall tally of infectivity cases to 668. Dr. Nur Hisham said that of the new cases, 61 were local transmissions involving 41 Malaysians and 20 foreigners, while the one import case was that of a Malaysian returning from India. A total of the 59 of the new cases were in Sabah, involving 48 from the Benteng Lahadatuk cluster, including 20 foreigners. He said the other 11 cases in Sabah were detected following the screening of health workers at the Lahadato Hospital, consisting of 4 cases, at the international entry points from Peninsular Malaysia, 3 cases, At the Lahadatul Health Clinic, 2 cases and 1 case each from the Pulau and Sandakan prison clusters. Dr. Nur Hisham included that Kedah also recorded 1 case from the Sungai cluster, while Penang had 1 case from the close contact screening of a family member of cases 9,397 and case 9,459. Meanwhile, Dr. Nur Hisham said 26 recoveries were recorded yesterday, raising the cumulative number of recoveries to 9,235 cases, or 92.1% of the total number of cases. No new deaths were reported, with the death toll remaining at 128. To date, 15 cases are under treatment in the ICU, with 3 requiring respiratory assistance. He added that active cases continued to increase daily, while the number of positive cases being treated in the intensive care unit was found to be rising as well. Dr. Nur Hisham said that if the situation continued, health facilities in the country would be overwhelmed again. Hence, to avoid such a situation from recurring, everyone must play his or her role and comply with the standard operating procedure issued and advice given by the government. That is all. Back to you, Crystal.
Thank you for your update, Gail.
Thank you, Crystal.
Japan's
Reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Gail Aldas. We live in indecision times.
Japan's parliament on Wednesday elected Yoshihide Suga Prime Minister, with the former chief cabinet secretary expected to stick closely to policies championed by Shinzo Abe during his record-breaking tenure. And Vietnamese leaders congratulate the new Prime Minister. Micah Gwyneth Apostol joins us from Vietnam.
Hi, Crystal. Here's the latest news from Vietnam. Leaders congratulate Japan's new Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide. VGP Party General Secretary, State President Nguyen Phu Trong, and Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc on Wednesday congratulated Suga Yoshihide on his election as the President of the Liberal Democratic Party and the new Prime Minister of Japan. Deputy Prime Minister Foreign Minister Pham Binh Minh also extended congratulations to Motegi Toshimitsu, who was reappointed as Foreign Minister of Japan. The same day, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Le Thi Tu Hang stated that Vietnam congratulates Suga Yoshihide for his election as the new Prime Minister of Japan while answering the reporters. Vietnam always treasures the friendship with Japan and wishes for close cooperation with Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide and his government to lift up the Vietnam-Japan extensive strategic partnership to a new height in an increasingly comprehensive, practical, and effective manner for the benefits of the two peoples and for peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the region and the world. Hang said, Vietnam and Japan established diplomatic relations in 1973 and upgraded the ties to the level of extensive strategic partnership for peace and prosperity in Asia in 2014, opening a beautiful new chapter in the history of the bilateral relations. Both sides attach importance to maintaining important cooperations mechanisms such as Vietnam-Japan Cooperation Committee, co-chaired by the two foreign ministers, and the Vietnam-Japan Strategic Partnership Dialogue on Foreign Affairs. Security Defense Japan has cooperated effectively with Vietnam in many multilateral forums and international organizations. Back to you, Crystal.
Thank you for your update, Micah.
Thank you. Reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam, this is Micah Gwyneth Apostol. We live in interesting times.
All right, the Metro Rail Transit Line 3 on Wednesday fielded 21 trains running simultaneously along its main line, the first time since the rail service was built. In a message on Thursday, Department of Transportation Assistant Secretary Goddess Hope Libiran said the MRT3 previously only had a maximum capacity of 20 train sets running simultaneously. She noted that the MRT-3 plans to fill up to 24 train sets after the comprehensive rehabilitation of the rail service. Libiran said maximum capacity of the main line now is 21 train sets, but the target is up to 24 train sets. In 2016, she said the MRT-3 had 22 operational trains, but only a maximum of 20 trains was fielded due to the limited maximum capacity of the rail service. In a media bulletin, the MRT-3 said the increase in maximum running trains shortens the waiting interval between trains and increases the passenger capacity of the rail service. On Monday, the MRT-3 was able to increase the maximum running trains on its main line to 20 after its 3 Dalian trains were approved for operation after months of testing. The MRT-3 also reported that there were no unloading incidents for the past 3 months since the resumption of public transportation on June 1st, when Metro Manila was placed under general community quarantine.
In Thailand, security agencies are hopeful and predicting that anti-government protests by students planned this weekend will not be violent and will only turn a small turnout. Plus, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is awarding government agencies with excellent financial management practices. Here's Faye Barton joining us live from Bangkok. Faye?
Good afternoon, Crystal, and good afternoon to all the viewers. No more than 20,000 at rally predicts security agencies, and this information is from Bangkok Post. Security agencies have predicted that the student anti-government demonstration planned for Saturday will not turn violent and will not see a heavy turnout. This is a source from a government, and the source also said there was nothing to worry about regarding the planned rally at Thammasat University's Ta Prachan campus, with no more than 20,000 people expected to attend the rally as with the previous protests at Democracy Monument on August 16. Crystal, it is unlikely that the protesters will be tough enough to camp out for long periods like the now dissolved People's Democratic Reform Committee or the Red Shirt United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, or the UDD, and the violence is unlikely to occur. There will be no bloodshed. Security agencies have believed that if the protesters plan to camp out, it will last no more than a night and not many people will take part of it. And the source also said that the violence must be instigated by professionals, but these student-led protesters are not in the same league. And they also noted that the rally is led by the United Front of Thammasat and Demonstration, or the UFTD, with Parrot, Penguin, Chiwara among the student leaders. And Crystal, another information and another update from the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, he delivers awards to agencies with excellent financial management and to government agencies with excellent financial practices, while elaborating on the need of government expenditure planning to ensure the money will reach the general public as quickly as possible. Another update, Crystal, about the weather here in Thailand. A tropical storm gathers pace, agencies go on high alert. A disaster mitigation plan has been drawn up with agencies on high alert for fast approaching tropical storm No, which is gathering strength and could hit the country tomorrow until Sunday. And this information is from Bangkok Post also. Back to you, Crystal.
Thanks for your update, Faye.
Thank you very much. This is Faye Barter reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Authorities in the Indonesian capital imposed a partial coronavirus lockdown Monday and vowed to strictly isolate anyone testing positive for COVID-19 as infections soared in the metropolis. Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan said the city would resume large-scale social restrictions for 2 weeks starting Monday, calling it a necessary measure to prevent the health system from collapsing. Non-essential businesses are only allowed to operate at 25% capacity. Restaurants can only serve takeaways, and school parks and tourist spots have been ordered to shut. He said anyone testing positive for COVID-19, including asymptomatic patients, will have to undergo mandatory quarantine in government facilities. Jakarta first introduced coronavirus restrictions in early April, but began relaxing them in June. Weeks later, however, the capital has seen a sharp increase in new COVID-19 cases. Indonesia recorded 3,963 new COVID-19 positive cases in 24 hours, the highest daily number since the first case was detected in the Republic on March 2, 2020. According to the data published today on the official website of the Indonesian authorities on COVID-19, www.covid19.go.id, the number of positive cases has so far risen to 228,993, while 100,236 people are being monitored for the disease. From 12 noon yesterday until 12 noon today, another 135 deaths occurred, raising the death toll to 9,100. Thousands of soldiers and police are being deployed to enforce the restrictions that were often previously flouted.
All right. Malaysia's Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has emphasized that the government will not rush into reopening the country's borders. Crystal?
Bernama reports that the Prime Minister has announced that a total of 1,017 foreign visitors to the country tested positive for COVID-19 from April 3 to September 15. He said that the COVID-19 situation in other countries showed that some nations were now facing a new wave of infections. He stressed that the same thing could happen in Malaysia if the people became complacent and looked down on the situation globally. Prime Minister Muhyiddin said that although the tighter border controls would pose a bit of difficulty, especially for Malaysians with dealing overseas, such strict action was needed to protect the country and its people from the coronavirus. Malaysia's borders are closed except for business purposes, including for investment and education, with strict compliance of stipulated standard operating procedures.
Here in the Philippines, beach marshals overseeing health protocol compliance is among the conditions set by the Department of Tourism for the future reopening of beaches and resorts under the new normal. Under the health and safety guidelines governing the operation of island and beach destinations under the new normal signed by Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, the beach marshals may be designated by the local government unit to ensure that guests observe the minimum health protocols at all times. Now, this will be in addition to the lifeguards on duty during prescribed swimming hours. Under the guidelines, mass gatherings and group events, including sports competition, youth camps, and other activities that gather crowds must comply with the health and safety protocols of the national and local governments. Restrooms must also meet the requirements and qualifications prescribed under the ASEAN Public Toilet Standards. Guests are also required to undergo a mandatory screening at the port of entry, while guests who intend to stay for at least one night must present their confirmed hotel or resort bookings during the screening process. Guests who intend to make last-minute bookings can do so at the port of entry, where a directory of DOT-accredited establishments will be made available. Those who have no confirmed bookings will be allowed entry at the destination, provided that they have joined a day tour package or have an outbound ticket on the same day. The DOT will also require all tourism establishments to adopt contactless or digital modes of taking reservations and payments. Concessions, shops, peddlers, ambulant vendors, and food vending would remain strictly prohibited. At beaches, setting up chairs, canopies, grills, and other ancillary temporary structures are not allowed. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
The New Era University, in its 45th year of excellence, discipline, and service to humanity, will offer online education at all levels beginning this first semester academic year 2020 to 2021 through the NEU Virtual Learning Environment, or NEU VLE. New Era University offers a complete basic education cycle from kindergarten up to senior high school, offering all strands. NEU has 18 colleges, and 2 graduate schools. It also offers ALS and ETF. Best of all, NEU has the most affordable tuition fees among private universities in the Philippines. NEU is at Quezon City, the city of San Fernando, Pampanga, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Lipa City, Batangas, and Pinugay, Baras, Rizal.
New Era University is under the stewardship of Dr. Dilo L. Rosas.
What are you waiting for? Be part of the new normal. Enroll now. Classes start on October 5, 2020.
The U.S. Justice Department on Wednesday announced charges against 5 Chinese nationals and 2 Malaysians who ran global hacking operations for at least 6 years to steal identities and video game technology, plant ransomware, and spy on Hong Kong activists. 3 of the Chinese suspects operated out of Chengdu 404, a Chengdu-based company that purported to offer network security services for other businesses. They hacked the computers of hundreds of companies and organizers around the world to collect identities, hijack systems for ransom, and remotely use thousands of computers to mine for cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. 2 other Chinese nationals who formerly worked for Chengdu 404 and the 2 Malaysians were indicted for hacking into major gaming companies to steal their secrets and gaming artifacts, likely tradable in game cheats and credits, and resell them. Together, the 7 were long recognized by cybersecurity experts as the Act 41 hacking organization, identified by their shared tools and techniques. According to court filings, Jiang Lizi, one of the Chengdu 404 hackers, boasted to a colleague in 2012 that he was protected by Chinese Ministry of State Security and indicated they were protected if they did not hack domestically. The charges did not indicate any direct political motivations behind the hackers' activities. though they did gain access to government computer systems in India and Vietnam. The seven face a range of charges including computer and wire fraud, identity theft, money laundering, and racketeering. The 5 Chinese remain at large, but the 2 Malaysians were arrested in Malaysia on Monday, and the United States is seeking their extradition.
Four men were publicly flogged in a conservative Indonesian province under Sharia law after being convicted for engaging in sexual activity with minors. The sentence was executed in front of the prosecutor's office in North Aceh with armed policemen guarding the event. Take a look.
29, 11. Kita berpegangan dengan ahli sunnah wal jamaah Islam, tidak ada pelanggaran. Mungkin berpendapat secara nasional atau internasional, silakan lihat pendapat masing-masing. Kita status Aceh, ini harus dilakukan, apalagi diterapkan dengan kanun yang sangat luar biasa, jadi penerapan yang sangat luar biasa untuk bersifat jerah supaya tidak berulang kembali, makanya dilaksanakan pun di tempat terbuka supaya masyarakat melihat inilah hukum syariat di Aceh yang dilakukan.
Karena dikurangi selama masa penahanan tadi telah dilaksanakan setelah dikurangi karena saat penahanan itu 1 bulan dihitung 1 jam.
12, 13, 4, 22, 23,
The kneeling men,
34, 35.
white robes and face masks, the kneeling men were struck by uniformed Sharia officers with a rattan stick, causing them to grimace in pain. 2 offenders, aged 18 and 21, were each lashed 100 and 105 times for having sex with a minor, with the younger man sentenced to a further 10 months in prison. A 25-year-old was struck 75 times for sexually molesting a child, while another man, 20, received 30 strokes for sexual harassment. The 25 and 21-year-old had their lashes reduced for time served. Despite the pandemic, dozens still came to watch from a distance, jeering and even booing during the flogging. Aceh, Indonesia's westernmost province at the tip of Sumatra Island, is the only region in the Muslim-majority country to impose Islamic Sharia law. It allows flogging for offenses including prostitution, gambling, adultery, drinking, alcohol, and gay sex.
40, 41, 42.
Chinese tech giant Tencent said Tuesday it was opening a new Singapore office to serve as a Southeast Asia hub as the firm reels from setbacks in the US and India. The firm is the latest Chinese tech leader to expand in the region of 650 million with a rapidly growing middle class and using the city-state as a base. Tencent has announced the new office in a statement and said it was expanding its business presence in Singapore to support our growing business in Southeast Asia and beyond. The company, which already has offices in Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia, said it was recruiting for various positions. Bloomberg News, citing anonymous sources, reported the company's plans for establishing a regional hub in Singapore had been accelerated by geopolitical tensions. In the US, President Donald Trump has announced a ban from mid-September on Tencent's social media platform WeChat as well as TikTok, which is owned by Chinese tech giant ByteDance. India has banned scores of Chinese apps, including Tencent hit games PUBG Mobile and Arena of Valor, after troops engaged in a series of clashes at the neighbors' disputed Himalayan border. Other firms looking to bolster their presence in the city-state included ByteDance, which plans to spend billions of dollars to expand its presence there, while Alibaba is in talks to invest in Singapore-based ride-hailing firm Grab, Bloomberg reported. Many international companies have chosen to base their regional headquarters in Singapore, and observers believe instability in longtime rival Hong Kong could give it a boost in attracting firms. Leaders in Singapore, which is majority ethnic Chinese, have been careful to maintain good ties with both the US and China. jailed 7 years for publishing satire of a fictitious royal family. Activist Somyut Rekraksak Semsuk is in odd today, and university students spearhead growing movement demanding reforms to Thailand's ultra-powerful monarchy.
When I was released, I released from the prison. That is very small place of the prison. I came out to this society but still have no freedom. It's considered it's a big prison. That means I came from the small prison into the big person in the society. I am very happy and very proud that our effort in the past, many people die on the streets, die in the university more than 40 years ago. Suddenly, this is not finished. It continues, and the new generation, they discover the reality that there is no hope for them under this system. And they come up openly to speak about the reform of the monarchy. So we hope the new generation, they are more experienced and more concerned what will be happen if they go on the struggle or come on the street to fight against dictatorship. The main problem is they can find out my pictures or my story from the Google or mass media that publicize my case and find out that I still be considered the dangerous person in society. So very difficult to get the job.
Young activists have staged near daily protests for the past 2 months, calling for frank discussions of the unsaleable royal family's role, once a taboo topic because of Thailand's draconian royal defamation laws. Among the students' demands is the abolition of the so-called 112 law, which shields the royal family from defamation, but has been broadly interpreted to target any criticism. It carries a maximum sentence of 15 years per charge. They are also calling for the resignation of Premier Prayut Chan-o-cha, a former army chief who masterminded the 2014 coup, a rewrite to the military scripted constitution they say stacked last year's election in his favor. Just 6 people were behind bars on these majesty charges before the 2014 coup, according to legal aid groups. Somyut was among them, snared by the law in 2011 after his now defunct Voice of Thanks magazine published satirical articles about a fictional king. By the end of the junta's 5-year regime, the number of lese majesty convictions had surged to at least 169, although use of the law has slowed in recent years. Prime Minister Prayut has said this is due to the mercy of the king. Using lese majesty is not good for the monarchy's image. Somyut said, explaining it implies the institutions confronting the people directly.
The U.S. has pledged to provide nearly $153.6 million in assistance to several projects of the Mekong countries. The financial assistance was announced by U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Biegun at the first Mekong-U.S. Partnership Ministerial meeting on September 11. The money includes $55 million for transboundary crime combat and $1.8 million for the Mekong River Commission to strengthen water resource data sharing in support of policy-making process, according to Stephen Biegun. Over the past 10 years, or the last 10 years, U.S. agencies have offered more than $3.5 billion in assistance to the Mekong region. That comprises Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. The participants to the meeting also officially announced the Mekong-US Partnership, or MUSP, from a decade-long cooperation under the Lower Mekong Initiative, or LMI, which was initiated by the United States back in 2009. The new partnership framework will lay foundation for promoting the potentials of the bilateral ties, thus making effective contributions to the sustainable development and prosperity in the future. The participants highlighted the fine friendship and achievements in such cooperative areas like sustainable management of water resources, environmental protection, natural disaster response, healthcare, education, and regional connectivity. ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
Ngayong Sabado sa Tagisan ng Galing.
Grabe, sa pool kami.
At least, good vibes, biritan at boses na pangmalakasan ang mangingibabaw ngayong Sabado. Kaya naman, tutok na sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Singing Edition.
Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is co-presented by Cooper, an expert in air conditioning and electromechanical, also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Our sponsors, BDO, we find ways. JRC Industrial Sales, RS Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. RJK Services Manpower Agency Corporation, Robes Builders, Villa Cáceres, Chris Rock Enterprises, Victory Carpentry, DOP Asiatic Pest Control Services, and AUP, Aspire for the Future, in partnership with New Era University ETAP, Expanded Tertiary Education, Equivalency and Accreditation Program. Embrace Cafe, we embrace differently abled persons. The biggest and widest talent competition in Philippine television continues with over 7 million pesos in cash prizes. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2. 3 winners will be chosen in each category. Singing category, second runner-up will receive 500,000 pesos. First runner-up will receive 1 million pesos. And for the grand champion, 2 million pesos. Dance category, second runner-up will receive 500,000 pesos. First runner-up will receive 1 million pesos. And for the grand champion, 2 million pesos. Audition now. Send your 3-minute performance video to tagisananggaling@gmail.com. For inquiries, call Nikki at 0977-651-9504 or 8784-7450, local 1363. Shane at 0995-880-8004 or 8784-7450, local 1415. Don't forget to like and follow Tagisan ng Galing's Facebook fan page. And subscribe to Tagisan ng Galing's YouTube channel for more announcements. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is presented by Eagle Broadcasting Corporation and Net25.
Oh my goodness! It's good to be back! Orly magtanggol po. Orly for sure. OFW at your service. Mabuhay ka, kabayan. Anak!
Hello, beautiful. I'm Darius Magtanggol. Papa D po sure. Tatay ni Orly, original singer, heartthrob ng cruise ship.
Pwede ho ba magtanong? Sino ho ako? Alam ko na ho. Ako nga ho pala si Eva Magtanggol. Misis po ako ni Darius.
Makigulo! Makitawa!
At makipagkantahan kasama natin ang ating mga OFW dito lang sa
Kesaya-saya!
Scientists in Singapore have invented a system that uses the same technology as noise-canceling headphones to allow residents of crowded cities to keep their windows open while reducing the din. Let's watch this.
What we have here is an anti-noise window. It basically creates an acoustic shield that blocks out the noise from the external from entering the residential building, but at the same time letting in the natural ventilation and lighting through the windows.
Australia's ambassador to Cambodia has apologized for eating a dish containing soft-shell turtle, which are highly protected in parts of the world. Ambassador Pablo Kang shared an image earlier this month of a bowl containing cooked turtle his party consumed during a visit to rural Pailin, but deleted the tweet after drawing criticism online. Take a look. He said, "I have removed my tweet about soft-shell turtles and eels and apologized to all those who took offense," Kang tweeted on Tuesday. The ambassador's culinary faux pas stirred little interest inside Cambodia, where one particular soft-shell turtle species can be legally farmed and sold for food. The meat is often made into a soup that is a particularly popular delicacy in the capital Phnom Penh. But many other species of soft shell are considered critically endangered around the world. And the pictures drew the wrath of some online critics. The Australian embassy told local outlet VOD the dish had been offered as an official meal, and the ambassador was assured the turtle had been farmed and not from the wild.
Only 6 out of 20 global goals to protect natural biodiversity have been achieved. Natural experts have warned ahead of the organization's Nature Summit on September 30. Biodiversity is declining at unprecedented rates, according to the latest Global Biodiversity Outlook report from the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. It is urging heads of state attending the summit to adopt radical changes to ensure human well-being and that of the planet. These include adopting sustainable agriculture and food systems and adding green space to cities. Despite the lack of overall success in protecting nature, there has been progress in many biodiversity targets that were agreed by the international community in Japan in 2010. These include in reducing the amount of forest cut down, controlling overfishing, and protecting island species from non-native invasive intruders. David Cooper, Deputy Executive Secretary of the UN Biodiversity Convention, said that numbers of bird and mammal extinctions that have occurred over the past 10 years would have been up to 4 times higher without the actions that have already been taken. A 74-year-old Malaysian man's quest to rid the country's beaches of washed-up glass led to a collection of thousands of bottles now displayed in a colorful seaside museum. Let's watch this.
Ya, hari ini aku rasa bangga kerana
pada Pak, setiap yang Pak jumpa, kita perlu berinteraksi dengan dia. Saya kata, oh cantiknya kau, alhamdulillah aku jumpa kau. Tapi akan ku bawa balik, akan ku taruh di galeri, botol galeri aku. Dengan hati yang rasa ceria dan kami seronok mengutip botol-botol yang ada di tepi-tepi pantai ini. Pada kami ini adalah satu kerja yang baik atau memberikan satu impak keseronokan kepada hati kita bahawa kali. Dan kalau anda membuang sampah, anda membuat satu tindakan yang betul-betul tidak baik. Pada Pak, the world belong to us. We should take care of it.
Thank you, Crystal, for joining us today. How are you doing? How have you been?
Everything's all right, Alma. Everything seems normal.
Everything seems normal now in Cambodia. And how is it outside? Are they still? But of course, they're still practicing social distancing and all those safety measures against the coronavirus, right?
Yes, that is correct. Well, most of the schools are already open, and most of the people is going back to their daily routine.
Okay. And how about work? Is it still work from home, or is it 100% back to work, face to face?
It's not 100% face-to-face work. They have this for example, in schools, they have 3 days inside the school and then 2 days online at home, so that they can still practice social distancing.
I see. And even with work, I assume it's the same or more or less similar arrangements.
Yes, and they also have a lot of safety measures like wearing a face mask or face shields every time they are at work.
And what about you? How are you doing? And your family? How are they all doing? Are they with you there in Cambodia?
Yes, they are all here. My mom and my dad are here.
Okay. And your siblings? Are they also with you?
My brother is still in the Philippines. He's planning to come here, but because of the COVID-19, it's canceled as of the moment.
Okay.
But
hopefully soon.
Yes.
That's true. Okay, thank you so much. Hey, Crystal, I think you know very well Brother Willen Regalado is watching us right now. And we would like to say hi po, and thank you for always supporting our ASEAN bureaus. Thank you, Brother Willen, and hello po to you, and thank you so much po. Thank you, Crystal, for joining us today.
Thank you, Alma. And I would also like to greet Brother William Catabona Jr., who's watching us as well. And just like what I always said, let's be positive, but not with COVID. And that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. Thank you for joining us today. This is Crystal Ann Ballesteros from your EBC Cambodia Bureau, and we always live in interesting times.
That's true. Thank you, Crystal. It's been a pleasure, and I agree with you strongly. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Alma Angeles here from your EBC studio here in Manila. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times. Thanks, Crystal.